On this episode of Before Brunch, we chat with Black men who have changed what it means to create their own lane. These men have been through it all and share how they're using their platforms to live out their dreams. Today we have actor and sketch comedian Zeus Campbell, author and speaker Rob Hill Sr., CEO and founder of Teach Hustle Inspire, Dr. Sean Woodley, and director and owner of the Redelling Group, Joseph Walters. Thank y'all for joining the show. We're gonna get right into it. So what are some of the obstacles that you face to getting to where you are? All of you all are in very unique fields. So Zeus, I'll start with you.
The biggest obstacle that I found really, and not to sound cheesy or corny, was just really myself. You know what I'm saying? Just really my own personal habits, my own personal everything. You know what I mean? You can't really have a business or a career or anything when you can't manage yourself. So I had to kind of really tap into myself and, you know, get with that.
I would have to echo what Zeus said. I mean, being in your own way sometimes is the number one obstacle that you'll ever face. And sometimes you get in your own head and, you know, you think that some of your dreams might be too big. Sometimes it might be because society looks at you one way and you're trying to live up to that. Sometimes it's just because the people that are in your personal life have put certain expectations on you, and you feel like you might not be good enough to live up to them, or you feel like you just can't do it.
One of my biggest obstacles, in addition to, because what they mentioned certainly is an obstacle for me, but in the field of education, I'm battling a long-standing system that was not built for us. I work with a lot of teachers in schools and school districts who struggle to engage, to teach their Black and brown students. And essentially my mission is to do one thing, is to just level the playing field for our babies in these classrooms. So that when my daughter, my son, when your kids go into these classrooms, public school, private school, charter school, indifferent, they have just as much of an opportunity to be successful as their white counterparts. But having to face literally a system that you open 99% of the books and you won't find a Black person in there unless the discussion is about struggle, or when you talk to teachers about implicit bias or things of that nature, then this brick wall comes up sometimes. Having to fight through those things, it's difficult day in and day out, but I'm committed to do this work. I love it, and I look at the challenge as an opportunity.
Amen. Let's pass the collection plate around for Sean. Rob, we'll come to you.
One of the biggest challenges that I face, I think it relates to mindset, training the mind so that it supports the habits that I want to have. I think I was used to thinking a certain way, and I did not realize that those thoughts end up inducing certain actions, and then those actions will ultimately leave me in a position that I believed was unfavorable. So in order to turn that around, I need to start mastering those thoughts, because I really believe that everything we do flows from those thoughts we have, you know, in our mind. And, you know, it's clinical. So it's not just a belief, but I really needed to retrain how I thought, the things that I digested, the music, the books, the conversations with friends, and ultimately just retooling the story that I had told myself my whole life. You know, that was a barrier. It led me to, you know, avoiding vulnerability. It led me to maybe living with a large ego, a chip on my shoulder, and calling that confidence. It was a lot of those things that I felt like were barriers, and it really was just a mental thing. You know, they say the mind is powerful, and we can never diminish its power. We can only misuse it. So I wanted to start using my mind, you know, properly.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys mentioned that a majority of this was self. You know, you had to like think about how you were training your thoughts and the things that you were thinking about. And there's no denying that like you are a Black man in America. Like every time you walk out, that's something that you guys know. And statistically, and even how it's put out in the media, it's that like, it seems like Black men won't succeed, quote unquote, right? And so how does that shape the way that you move in your field? Like,
I haven't had to reshape, I guess, myself too much, because, you know, being Black is cool, right? Especially
now it is.
Now it is, especially in the media field. So, you know, when you're in meetings with somebody that might not be Black. They might be white, they might be Spanish, whatever. Sometimes those meetings tend to bend in your favor of comfortability in dealing with them because they try to adjust themselves to speak with you. But just because you speak a little more urban or use like some slang, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what I want to hear. And so then it's like, okay, I have the upper hand because I know you want to be like me. So now I can kind of talk to you however I would like to talk to you. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to talk to you with some sense because I don't want you going back thinking stereotypical Black man, he only knows slang. He doesn't know words like proverbial and, what's the one T.I. uses? Expeditiously. We don't know big words. So I try to drop those small gems in the meetings whenever I can.
I do a lot of things in terms of all under the entertainment umbrella. So I'm a voiceover actor and narrator, and of course I have my own show that I write, produce, and also I do commercials and things like that. Just regular acting. All these things I had to, like you say, there's a certain stereotype, right? I never really was bounded by that because whenever I walk in a room, I understood what I represented. So people addressed me the way that I carried myself. So I never had people try me like that out in LA. I mean, people try me, but I feel like it's the way that we represent ourselves. He say, she say, gonna always be out there, but what you answer to is your real name.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So for one, I make sure I go in there. For example, in the voiceover world, I am a fly in a glass of milk. Believe that.
Wow.
There's not a lot of Black, and my voiceover teachers, they're Black, and they told me, they was like, listen, we're really glad you're here. And I go in there and I really learn the craft, and they respect that, but I also make sure my business side, I had to make sure that was on point because stereotype or not, a lot of times our people, we want to be seen more than we want to be financial and profitable.
Right.
I don't want to be popular, I need to be profitable. You know what I mean? So I made sure that I could do the job professionally and then let the rest take care of itself.
Yeah.
So that really, and everybody responds to that. Black, white, yellow, or green, people respond to professionalism. I can talk to anybody. So I feel like I'm an example as long as you, yourself, and other people, we're examples of that stuff don't exist. That's old news, that's passe, that's back in our granddaddy days. Catch up. You stuck in the mustard, catch up. That's old stuff. Black people, we've been doing this. This just new to you. So you gotta get those old fables out of there because we got books. We not like our ancestors. We not under this lie and spell that we are less than. Absolutely not. We the one, not the two.
I think we've all heard the joke, if you want to hide something from a Black person, you put it in a book. And being in the world of publishing and an author, naturally, it was proven to people that we have a market of readers, an active and passionate market of Black people, young, old, and all different types of backgrounds who are committed to knowledge and growing and improving themselves and creating generational wealth and improving their health and, all these different types of things. And we have a community that is, passionate about sharing this information. It's just always been traditionally attacked and disrupted and stifled. They've decided that one voice can speak in a generation, not the hundreds that we may have. They've decided that one story should be the ultimate one. So when I entered this space, there's a lot of, like Sean mentioned, traditionalism and just, BS that comes with assumptions, right? And people not actually having a tangible experience with something that they're unfamiliar with.
I was entering a new space some years ago when I really decided to put myself out there, and I tried to fit in, so much so that it was inauthentic. I remember, as a matter of fact, when I was first going to launch my podcast and you and Joe were at my house and Joe was with me and I had him listen to one of the introductions that I was playing with. And he was like, he kind of gave me this. He was like, yo, are you reading a script? And I was trying to really find my lane there. I took some headshots and just I was, giving that professionalism, if you will, trying to fit into that lane. And my wife, she was like, what are you doing? She was like, this is not you. Give them you. And I was like, you know what? And I scrapped all of that and kind of went back and built it back up, but in a way that was more authentic. Now I'm in a space, I've carved my own lane. Like my workshops, my speaking engagements, my brand is very different than a lot of things that you see in the education space. And that is a reflection of me.
Yeah, and so that's actually a great segue into my next question, because you had people who gave you feedback. And you know, us women, like most times I have women on the show, so this is a treat to have some men on here. You know, we talk about like this camaraderie and like these girl power groups that we have, and we have these friends that we can be so vulnerable and open with. And I want to ask you all as Black men, because sometimes it seems as if you all maybe can't outwardly be as vulnerable and as open with your feelings and your thoughts as women can. So do you guys have that group of friends where you can be like, bro, I'm really struggling right now, or friends that you maybe can be like a little bit more emotional with about something that's going on in your life?
Maybe sometime in the last few years, it's been more acceptable, and it might just be because we've gotten more mature. We've all grown independently as men. We've gotten to a certain point where we have been able to express certain feelings and emotions with the homies that we might not have done previously when we were younger. 21-year-old me, I wouldn't go to my friends and be like, hey man, I'm sad today about XYZ, or I'm having trouble with XYZ. I wouldn't do that. I bottle it up, eat it up, and go on about my business like everything is cool. But now, we got Telegram. Everybody's in groups on Telegram. I'm in a group with Sean on Telegram. We lean on each other for things. We send encouragement and motivation to each other. We create safe spaces where we can just kind of talk and just not feel like there's any judgment.
To kind of piggyback on what Joe said, it's 100% like it's a combination for me of maturation and matriculation, as we like to say sometimes, but I really feel that kind of surrounding myself with people who I trust and who I see grow helps me grow, and we're kind of like feeding off of one another's energy. So I see Joe say something that puts himself in a vulnerable position, and it makes me that much more likely to feel comfortable doing it when I may need to. I may not need to do it at that moment, but I can be a shoulder where that man can lean on, and then boom, next week something's going on with me. Hey fellas, what y'all think about this? Like, so it's a mindset, but it's a mindset that is facilitated and perpetuated by the people you surround yourself with.
Yeah, you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with at the end of the day. I'm pretty sure everyone's heard the sayings like, look around you, and that's how wealthy you're gonna be. And if you're looking around and all your people are broke, then you're gonna probably end up being broke. But if you look around and everybody's filled up, everybody's successful, everybody's wealthy, everybody's healthy, they live in certain lifestyles, then 9 times out of 10, that's gonna rub off on you.
Yeah.
To add to that, Joe talking about money. Man, we really talk about different things than women traditionally talk about. You know what I mean? Like, we talk about financial issues because most of us are household responsible for people other than ourselves. So we talking about money issues. The feelings and stuff, we can't even get to that until the money taken care of.
Facts.
We don't have that luxury.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Wait, do you not have that luxury because you feel like that you don't have that luxury, or is it because of how you were brought up that the man is supposed to obviously take care of the household?
I was brought up that a lion is a lion.
Okay.
No matter if someone wants to paint it the stripes and call it something different. So as a man, I'm supposed to take care of myself and the women and children that I'm responsible for, period.
Okay.
And that's just that. So, and that's my responsibility because that's what I'm created to do. The woman, she has her own purpose and what she's created to do. So I just feel like with men, we got to get that household leadership thing situated first, financial. Then we can focus on, hey, how you doing? Now, I will say that I've upgraded the level of people in my circle. So when you have other entrepreneurs or other brothers doing what you're doing, we tend to talk about family stuff as it's like hey, I've known you for a little while now. We've gotten a little money together. If a man can break bread together with just a handshake, a lot of trust is there. Mm-hmm. So, it's different from women. But it definitely needs to happen more, the conversation of men talking more, because our mental health, we've been told to ignore that. And that plays a part in how we, interact with our women and children, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We gotta have that inner peace.
That's real. I also think that goes a lot though to like history, especially the pressure that I feel like black men feel. Women we'll cry about it and then we'll handle the business part later. But I feel like there's so many women now who are like equals to their partners and who are leading households, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel there's such a pressure on you guys, and I'm not speaking as every black man, but I feel like it's like the elephant in the room of a pressure that you all feel to really lead your household no matter what situation you're going to where you can't even tackle your feelings, and then other things arise because you can't tackle your feelings.
I think it's only pressure if you pick the wrong partner. I think it's a pleasure if you pick the right partner.
Okay.
Because the right partner is gonna see what you trying to
Snap for that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a right partner is gonna see, hey, you know what, my man is really striving to be something. It's him and God is walking. So let me get out the way.
There's stages to opening up. Like Joe said, the things that I'm willing to talk about now are probably much different when I was 21. Zeus referred to though is we like to make connections about finances and success and some form of like that area of things before we can really peel back the layers. This last year, during the beginning of the pandemic, I joined like this group of men where we talk once every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. And we get on Zoom and we talk. It's like a rosebud thorn, and we have to talk about one thing that's, blossoming in our life, one thing that's kind of, aching us, thorn in our side, and one thing that we're excited about. And that has been an opportunity to be a little bit more expressive, and share those things. But it's always just been me and my journal most of my life. I didn't really expect many people would care about all these thoughts. But it's just, that's been a journey in itself. I believe that being vulnerable is strength, but you got to find the right people to do that with. I don't think that it's safe to tell every man you're hurting, especially just because he's close to you. And I also don't think that it's weak to express that, especially if you're solid. But I believe that my heart is powerful. I believe trusting it is going to lead me to some brilliant people, some awesome opportunities. And if there's some pain along the way, then I'm supposed to be getting sharper some way, right? And I think that, vulnerability is just a way for me to be bold in life. Being expressive is a way for me to display my courage. Being a writer is a way to reveal my soul and let people know I was here. I felt this way about these things. I experienced these things. I loved this way. I got it wrong this way. But ultimately, I was growing. I was learning. And I don't see any shame in vulnerability and expressing, that transparency. Again, you might want to also know how to fight, because you can't be sensitive or on edge about it. But I think that, it's just power in knowing how you feel. There's beauty in being able to express that as a man.
How do you guys continue to use your influence and stay grounded, to use your influence for good? Because you can use your influence to really get what you want in like such a selfish way, or you can continue to use it for positive direction. So how do y'all stay grounded in that aspect as your empires are continuously growing?
Influencer to me, and this is no shade to anyone, but an influencer to me is someone who wants to influence you to do something.
Okay.
I want to inspire somebody by the way I'm living my life and what I'm doing. I want to inspire Virginia, my community. And when you inspire an influencer, they're being paid to do something to get you to buy somebody else's thing.
You better come on. Y'all,
That's
okay.
what an influencer
Switch it up
is.
on me.
You know what I'm saying? Buy my friends or buy this person's thing. I'm going to tell you it's great. And I don't even really know if it's great. I'm just getting paid to tell you it's great. You know what I'm saying? But somebody like us, we got real people that's following us and our words mean something. That's responsibility. our words hold weight, so we got to be accountable. I don't want to tell somebody, hey, go buy this cigarettes, and kids or whoever's watching Hump Day Romance or grown people, and they go buy a product and they say, well, Zeus told me to buy it. So I think it's more about, we got to take dignity in what we put in our name beside. Don't just put your name beside something for $1. But that goes back to entrepreneurship. I didn't want to have to put my name on somebody else's product and become a product in the process just to feed my family, because that's a never-ending process.
Wow.
You'll always have to, dance for somebody. And I understand that the lion, and it's a saying I love, is like the lion and the tiger may be bigger and stronger, but the wolf don't perform in the circus.
I feel like I got to come up with a grand quote after that, man. That was I like that wolf quote, Zeus. I will say this for me, it's something that I feel like the reason that I'm able to connect with so many people. Let me rephrase that. The reason I'm able to connect with the right people is because I'm being authentic in myself and in my mission to change education. And I'm connecting to people on an identity level. Like when they see the brand Teach, Hustle, Inspire, when they see me, the things that I say, like on my Instagram page, it's very education centered, but it is Sean education centered. It's not your typical things talking about urban and culturally diverse schools. It is my voice talking about education. And a lot of people, because it is my voice as a human being, as opposed to trying to be a brand, are able to identify with it and connect with it because we're on the same path. Similarly to what I mentioned before, I was trying to cast a net and get everybody in there. And when you try to market to everybody, you market to nobody. So I had to step back and realize, all right, what is authentic to Sean, and then the right people will be attracted to that, and then those right people will attract me and bring me in front of other right people, because good people know other good people, and that message will continue to inspire, as he mentioned, and influence others for the right things as it pertains to teaching these babies in the classroom.
Wow, I totally understand that. Thank you, Sean, for sharing that.
I don't give much credence to the word influencer. I try not to let it bother me. I think that, in entrepreneurship, for me, it was important to create an ecosystem within my family that sustained us for some generations. I needed there to be some type of money flowing amongst us in a business sense that, was attached to some product that lasted a little bit longer than all of our lives could. And in publishing, it's given us a foundation to do that, and some extensions through licensing and a few other services. But it was like, I always heard like a Christian man leaves an inheritance for the grandkids of his grandkids. And I had a kid when I was 20, and I'm like, boy, I ain't have many dollars, So at that point, I'm like, man, college is a dream. You got to get to work. And I joined the Navy. It wasn't it was just a different route. So I didn't naturally see it as some road to lead to some grand influence. I thought that I was just trying to be solid for my family.
Yeah, I've never looked at myself as an influencer by any means. I have always thought that one of the best ways to change any type of cultural environment is to start by teaching people that are younger than you, by providing opportunity to people that are younger than you, being able to groom people that are younger. So everything I'm saying right now has to deal with the youth. So by taking them, providing opportunity for them to, learn, be surrounded by, professionals that look like them, that can teach them, if not good, better than what they're learning in school, whether that's high school, college, whatever. As long as we're teaching them, then they'll be able to push the culture forward, as they say. So I guess along the lines of what Zeus said, I don't look to influence, I look to inspire. if I can inspire change in them, they'll inspire change in something else, so on and so forth. And it'll just keep getting paid forward until at the end of the day, whatever stereotype there was.
Yeah. Me and Rob did an interview like 7 years ago. And we were interviewing, I was like, Rob, you have so much influence. I was like, you could type anything on social media and people would flock to it. So I was like, Rob, let's just do a test. So he put it up an Instagram post and all it said was go, right? It was no caption. Yo, within like 30 seconds, he had like 600-700 likes. And this is when Instagram was still like, you know, kind of fresh and new. Had all these comments like, that was the motivation I needed. Yes, oh my gosh, I needed to hear this. All Rob wrote was go. Rob, you remember that?
Yep. I don't know what it was. I think it just really relates to what was just being said. And sometimes people hear you. And while they're listening, I think it's important to say something of value. And that's all I'm trying to do.
And so last question for you guys. All of y'all are, you're not young anymore.
Wow.
Wait, not as young as you used to be. You know, everybody up
Man,
here, you know,
look like
all of you guys are fathers. All of you guys are a little more, mature. And so for a young Black boy who might be watching you, and honestly, young Black females or anybody who might be watching now and is looking at you and is like, wow, I want to be, in sketch comedy actor. I want to be a director and a filmmaker. I want to be a motivational speaker. I want to be in education and building this movement. What would you say to that young person? And maybe you're really speaking to your younger self. What would you say to that person?
I would tell myself, yo, it's going to be all right. You know what I mean? Like, live your dreams, focus on what you're trying to do, live and manifest what you're trying to do, but what's around you, where you starting, where you're going to finish. So live your dreams, not your reality. Focus on that.
I was going to say two things. Enthusiasm is common, but endurance is rare. And you have to be prepared to stay in the fight, to stay in the battle, to not get tied to people saying they'll be there, to not get tied to promises, to not get tied to anything but your own endurance and work ethic. Because people will be enthused at the beginning. But when the going gets going, it'll be endurance what gets people over the hump. And then lastly, we're all one choice away from a completely different life. I keep that in my my social media profile bio, but it's really just it's a decision.
What I would say is get used to betting on yourself and getting comfortable taking risks. Those risks don't have to be, betting the farm. They can be small risks, small calculated risks, but betting on yourself.
I'm in the company of some pretty profound gentlemen. So I was sitting here thinking of what I would say, and I came up with the mistake that you make today does not define your life, but the decision that you make today can set you up for a better tomorrow.
I appreciate you guys for being so open and vulnerable in this conversation. Like, this was such a good conversation. I think everybody needs to hear this coming from you all, because I know we always say like our youth are our future, but y'all are continuing like the history. Y'all are going to be in the history books that these kids are going to be reading about. So I'm excited to see where all of y'all's success goes. And for more information on Before Brunch TV, you guys can go to beforebrunchtv.com and follow us on social media at Before Brunch TV. We'll see you next time.